Simon from simonwoods.com. Looking forward to this. I've got 5 Austrian Rieslings. 4 of them from the Wachau, and one of them, the last one, the oldest one, coming from, is it Kamptal? Brundelmeyer's got stuff in, I think, in Kremstal and Kamptal. If you know your Vienna, your Austrian geography, there's Vienna at one end of Lower Austria, and there's the Wachau at the other end, and working back towards Vienna, it goes Wachau, Kremstal, Kamptal, I think. Was it Kamptal? Yeah, I think it's Kremstal, Kamptal. Anyway, 3 of the Wachau wines are from what used to be known as the Freie Weingarten Wachau, the free wine growers of the Wachau. Bit of a mouthful, so they changed it a few years ago to Domain Wachau. So, first one of them, 2010, Riesling Federspiel, 1000 Eimerberg, the Tausend Eimerberg steep vineyard in Spitz on the Danube. What they do in the Wachau with their Riesling and their Grüne Veltliner, and is it maybe other varieties? I'm not so sure about that. They split them into 3 categories. So the lowest one, wines that come in below 11.5% alcohol, they are known as Steinfeder, with stone feather for some reason, and then the next one that come in between 11.5 and 12.5%, that's Federspiel, which we are with the first 2 of those, and then the top category above 12.5% is what's known as Smaragd, and Smaragd is the name of a particular sort of lizard. It's also the colour of the lizard. It's like an emerald green lizard that basks in the warmest bits of the vineyard slope. The theory being that the warm bits are where the best grapes grow. Is it true? Let's just dig in and find out. Anyway, first wine. It's got those aromas like a lovely clear mountain spring. So you've got the a bit of the herbiness, a bit of the river pebble character, and then this citrus fruit, this backbone of more on the grapefruit and lemon. The weird thing is, some of these wines, they've got that piercing citrus acidity, but some of the fuller flavoured ones have got this peachiness as well, and they sit really nicely together. Here it seems more on the mineral citrus side rather than the more fleshy element. And it's a stony mineral pleasure, that. I mean, I know that there are quite a few people who won't like that for precisely the reasons I do like. I do like that sternness. I like that steely spine, that bowstring twang of acidity, and this flesh round it that is of supermodel sveltness. So tasty, attractive, tasty now, feels like it's got at least a couple of years ahead of it to soften. Will it get better? Will it just change? I don't know, it's pretty tasty now. We like that. Okay, a year older, but still on Federspiel, Domain Wachau, Weissenkirchen. The village of Weissenkirchen, in the heart of the Wachau, is the origin of this wine. White Church Weissenkirchen, I think. Hey. Well, 2 things I noticed first off with this. First of all, the colour. It's a year older, so it as wines develop, they go from more clear to slightly more golden colours. And this has got, it looks like it's a deeper, more gold colour. Part of that will be to do with the extra year's age, but I think another thing that we've got here is it feels like this is going to be a riper, fuller, fleshier wine. I don't know the precise intricacies of vintage variation between 2009 and 2010 in the Wachau, but I think that the 2009 will be from a fuller, riper vintage, but will still have a backbone. Let's have a go. It's like someone's taken the first wine and just injected a little bit more ripeness and roundness. So there was a citrus edge on the first one, but it was more on that grapefruit and lemon. Here it's in the orange and the ripe orange and ripe grapefruit. Almost as something like the Grüne Veltliner type of pepper there, and the herbiness. But then there's also this slightly more voluptuous thing, going to maybe rhubarb even, plum, touch of nectarine, but still underpinned by the mineral. It doesn't feel quite as taut a minerality as the first one, but it feels like it feels like the slightly more rounded, earthier feel, as opposed to maybe the slightly sharp minerality of the first one. But both tasty. But I do prefer that second one for that extra little bit of weight, still with a backbone. Okay, next one up is the tallest bottle, and we are with one of the names of the Wachau. There's about 3 or 4 of them who were in the 1980s set about restoring the reputation of the Austrian wine industry in the Wachau, and the Wachau in particular, after all that shenanigans with the antifreeze. Who are they? Knoll, Emmerich Knoll, Prager, this guy, and Franz Herzberger. I mean, there are others as well, but it was like a quality-minded set of people just got together and said, right, let's show the outside world what we can do. Well, let's see what they can do with this one, which is the Leubner Steintal. So we're on Smaragd here. These next two are 2009. The one before was 2009. Give it a whirl. It's a fuller, fleshier wine. It's weird. It feels like it's going to be fuller and fleshier than the one before, but it's so dumb. It really does feel like it's this little thing that's just coiled up and just waiting to blossom. What I do get is loads and loads of mineral character. So the fruit is almost like taking a back seat to this quite pungent. I don't know. It almost feels like there's something, as well as maybe the schistiness and the slatiness and. I can't remember what the soil is in this particular vineyard, but it's almost like there is a volcanic edge there, giving this ever so slight benevolent pond character, if that makes sense. It's a type of character I get in Rieslings from J.J. Prum in the Mosel. And the wines, like his wines, can be very, very difficult to taste when they're young, but then they blossom. And this one feels like one of those where it's almost like open today, drink tomorrow or the day after. So it's a Thursday now, so maybe I'll be drinking this tomorrow night or Saturday night. But yeah, there's this toasty, nutty grapefruit, mineral, poised peach. There's this white pepper edge coming in. There's these herbs as well. Tasty. Well, it smells tasty. And that really is one where the soil is just coming through so strongly. Yes, there's a rounded, peachy punch and ripe citrus from the Riesling, but it's more this lovely slatiness and mineral character carrying it through. And yeah, there's weight and there's power and there's presence. There's this freshness. There's a lovely backbone. It's an upright wine, but it's one of those that's got a little bit of a twinkle in its eye. It's not so stern that it can't laugh at itself. It's really yummy. I usually use yummy with words like with wines like Burgundy, but this appeals to you in a different way. This is almost like a bit more cerebral and makes you sort of go and stroke. If I had a beard, I'd be stroking it now, but I think this will be stroking me a bit later tomorrow, as I say. Terrific. Terrific, lovely, lovely, lovely wine. Okay, and I mean, it's like it seems to be blossoming in the glass. I mean, I just swallowed it then, I didn't spit it out. And there's this peachiness coming through. It just seems to be, yeah, the uncurling. You know, when you see a fern in early summer and it's all curled up, and you think, well, it doesn't look very much. And then a month or so later, it's huge and it's taking over your garden. It feels like a coiled up fern. Let's have a look at the final Wachau wine. So we're back with Domaine Wachau now on their Riesling Smaragd from the Achleiten vineyard, which is one of the top sites in the region, in Stonewall Terraces, gneiss and amphibolite rock. You all know about the characteristics of amphibolite rock, etc, etc. Known for peach and apricot. Let's get me conch in there and see if I get those. Well, it has got those what people call the stone fruit characters, the apricot and yeah, the peach. But I also get this mineral character, like pumice stone, and maybe a little bit of, strange to say, aspirin, soluble aspirin. I used to eat salt. You know, you're supposed to put a soluble aspirin in water. Soluble. I used to chew them, and there's a very sort of the typical flavour I think I associate with aspirin that's in there. I used to like them. Probably still do. I can't remember the last time I had an aspirin. And it feels like it's going to be a more fleshy wine than the Pichler was, but maybe, yeah, bigger and rounded, and you're getting these things like plum juice in there, tinned plum juice. But it doesn't feel, maybe that mineral character is not quite as strong as it was in the Pichler, but I don't think it's quite the same price league as well. But so I'm expecting a slightly louder but simpler wine. Well, louder and simpler It is louder and simpler than the one before, but it's still absolutely delicious. It's got this punchy, pungent freshness to it, and so while you have got these big plum juice, rhubarb, and ripe citrus and peach characters, holding it all together, you've got this spine of minerality, and it's this this almost saltiness that's coming through here, rather than that salt in, I don't know whether there's salt in aspirins, but there's this strange twangy minerality holding it together. I don't think it's going to be as long lived as the Pickler, but for me it's one of those that I imagine showing people these two wines, and just as many prefer that as prefer the Pickler. The Pickler is almost like the one that's slightly more serious. This one is the bit more hedonistic. But I like them both. I prefer the Pickler though, because I'm very serious. I don't do hedonism. Oh, loving these. Let's try the final one from Weingut Brundelmeier. So we are in Campbell now, and this is a Langenleuchter Steinmassel Riesling 2006, so quite a bit older than the others. Let's give it a whirl. Well, it's 3 years older, but it smells like it's going to be beautifully fresh. Yes, it is showing a little touch of maturity. So the citrus, this tangy, again that nectarine type of flavour, is just losing its real twangy tang of brand new, just cut. But it's almost like, you know, if you make a fruit salad with such fruits and you have fruit juice, and then you come back to it an hour or so later, the fruit flavours are still fresh, but they've just lost some of that, some of their youthful sharpness, and have rounded out a bit more. So it feels like it's, yes, there's the freshness, but that element of roundness. Mineral character, maybe more on that slightly earthier mineral character that I was getting more in the Weissenkirchen than either of the two Wacker, two Smaragds, but smells like it's going to be pretty tasty. Developing nicely. There's almost like a little touch of honey in the background. Yes, it's got these quite forward, friendly fruit, but yes, the honey's developing. Maybe an ever so slight toasty edge. Not sure where that's from, but this earthy minerality does then come through. So it starts off and you think, well, it feels like it's going to be quite a rich wine, and then the finish is really poised, fine-boned, high cheekbones, but with a little bit of flesh on its skeleton. I still think the Pickler is the star act, but those last two I thought were pretty terrific, and the two to start with weren't bad at all. Honestly, in a normal lineup, if I'd come across those two, I'd have been very pleased. But testimony to the quality and the variation in style that is Austrian Riesling. I haven't even touched on any sweet wines, but I've enjoyed this. Hope you have too. See you soon.